And we're being joined this evening by BJP spokesperson Shaina NC. She's joining us from Mumbai. Also with us, Rishika Barua, our correspondent from Delhi. We also have our National Affairs editor, Javed Ansari. Before I go to Javed Ansari or Rishika, I'd like to come to you first. Shaina, the BJP really seems to have cornered the Congress party. Rahul Gandhi's resolve to disqualify or act against corrupt Neta is really being tested here. But the big question, does the BJP have evidence to back these allegations?
Foremost, let's understand that when our leader of opposition, Mr. Arun Jaitley, makes any kind of an allegation, it's seriously researched, and it has never been in his history of his political career as something which is flippant or not, substantive with evidence. Now, in this particular case, there are substantial allegations. There is an LIC agent which has on record told the CBI of the kinds of money that he has had to give Mr. Veerbhadra Singh. Likewise, whether it's the power company which has got an extension, which is a huge question mark, or for that matter, whether it is the amounts that have been given to a certain VBS, which obviously we all know stands for whom, whether it's the income tax returns which have been filed which are questionable, whether it is bribes of rupees 5 crores or rupees 2.8 crores in two respective cases. I think that this is not just about getting after somebody, this is about somebody proving his or her innocence when he is in a position of power which has been grossly misused. The misuse has not just happened in the case of few power companies, ISPAT, this LIC case, or his own income tax filings. I think that one needs to understand that this was a letter written by our leader of opposition to the Prime Minister, and when the Congress talks that it wants to talk tough on corruption, and it is very, very clear that its leaders should not be corrupt, then it needs to take action. Please understand that the entire nation is watching, and we're not going to bow down to some, kind of agitation outside Rajnath Singh's house or our President's house. Absolutely. Because we clearly realize that what is wrong, and as the opposition, we're entitled to take it on.
Right, let's also get a word from a National Affairs editor, Javed Ansari. Javed Ansari, no response from the Congress leadership over this issue. In fact, even on our show, we couldn't get a Congress spokesperson to participate in this debate. Can the Congress afford to not react to this kind of case, considering the fact that there's this huge anti-corruption wave that's sweeping the country? The Aam Aadmi Party government's, Aam Aadmi Party's success in Delhi is an example of that.
Well, indeed it is, but the Congress party stand on this particular issue is that they are doing due diligence, that they will not take on face value whatever allegations or charges have been leveled against Mr. Veerbhadra Singh. Congress sources say this is not the first time that such allegations of such nature have been leveled against Mr. Veerbhadra Singh. A case in point being that he had to, he resigned as minister when some charges were made. He resigned as union minister, went back. Eventually, that case was thrown out. So the Congress is still holding its fire. It's doing its due diligence, and for now, they have not asked Mr. Veerbhadra Singh to step aside. As regards Mr. Veerbhadra Singh not getting an audience, not being able to meet either Congress President or Rahul Gandhi is concerned, Veerbhadra Singh did, senior Congress leaders tell me, Veerbhadra Singh did speak to the Congress President on phone, and he has subsequently then left for Himachal Pradesh.
All right, so even though Veerbhadra Singh may have been denied an audience, Javed Ansari reporting that he did manage to speak to the Congress President over the phone. Let's get a word from our correspondent Rishika Barua, who's been tracking the story for us. Rishika, we've been seeing angry protests on the streets. There is a clear effort by the Congress and the BJP specifically to make sure that this story doesn't lose importance just because it's out of Himachal and not out of the national capital.
Well, absolutely. Yesterday we saw that there were BJP supporters who had in fact gone outside Rahul Gandhi's house and staged a protest. And today what we saw was a retaliation of that, wherein NSUI supporters, members of the NSUI had in fact gathered outside Rajnath Singh's house in large numbers to protest against the BJP, saying that, the BJP, who is levelling allegations against the Congress on counts of corruption, doesn't have its own house in order, and there are corrupt leaders even within within the BJP's top brass, also indicting BSY, who has recently again rejoined forces with the BJP. So clearly what we're seeing is that the Congress party has not come out and defended Veerbhadra Singh in so many words, but has in fact launched a counter-offensive against the BJP, claiming that while you are targeting us, you don't have your own house in order. So Veerbhadra Singh, the Chief Minister of Himachal Pradesh, was in Delhi today, and the sources within the Congress party are saying that they are putting their weight behind him, that they will support him because such charges were levelled against him in the past, which did not hold true in the court of law. These allegations, interestingly, were levelled against him just before the assembly elections in Himachal Pradesh, and despite these allegations, he still went ahead and formed the government. He did win the ticket. I mean, he did win the seat in Himachal Pradesh and was, is the Chief Minister of the state. So the Congress party maintains that this is a political blame game. This is a conspiracy that the BJP has in fact launched against the Congress party. But at the same time, they have not come out in so many words and defended their Chief Minister, but have in fact launched a counter-offensive.
Absolutely. The Congress party is shying away from openly coming out and supporting Veerbhadra Singh. Shaina NC, the Congress also launching a counter-allegation saying that Mr. Jaitley obtained Veerbhadra Singh's income tax details illegally, also saying that considering the fact that these details cannot even be accessed by the right to information, how did the leader of opposition manage to get his hands on these papers?
Well, that's for you to ask Mr. Arun Jaitley, but having said that, I think that he would never access any information which is not given to him in a legit form. And coming to the other argument that, is so stereotypical when the BJP launches any kind of attack to kind of suggest that, we don't have our house in order. Please let me tell you, we have taken a high moral ground, whether it is losing the state of Karnataka when we did need to on a mere allegation. Likewise, whether it is LK Advani, one of the tallest leaders, who chose not to attend parliament when he was implicated in a case which he had nothing to do with until and unless his name was completely removed from that particular case. So I don't think that anyone can take a kind of reversal stand vis-a-vis the BJP, because we have shown time and again, and through our party, which is guided not just by ideology but which stands on high moral ground when it comes to issues such as allegations of corruption or issues such as propriety in public life. Here the case is completely different. This is not the first allegation on Veerbhadra Singh, and this is not the only one. There are 4 to 5 cases, and we all know how the CBI has been misused on multiple occasions. Here you have individuals who have testified. You have individuals who have said how they have been put on the spot. One person has been even told to sell an apple orchard and to deposit that money into Veerbhadra Singh's account. Now, I think that there are real serious issues here. This is not about one case. This is about 4 to 5 cases.
Absolutely.
So the Congress needs to act and act proactively immediately.
All right. So serious charges against Veerbhadra Singh, the BJP challenging Rahul Gandhi to act against the Himachal Pradesh Chief Minister. Shaina NC, Javed Ansari and Rishika Barwa, thanks so much for joining us for this debate this evening.